I want to mention this when it comes to VeChain. What do I mean by this? A lot of people out there, even after my last video, were telling me that the Hayabusa upgrade when it comes to VeChain was really not good, but I tend to disagree with that, and this is actually kind of a continuation from my last video, even though nothing I say is financial advice. Now, I'll talk about the price of VET, which is VeChain's primary native token, very soon, but I'll talk about this real quick, and later on I'm going to give my thoughts on the price of VET, which again is VeChain's primary native token. But here's the thing. In my last video, I was highlighting the kind of after effects, right, of the Hayabusa upgrade when it comes to VeChain. But still, a lot of people thought it was not that good. So let me show a little bit more, I guess, context as to what I mean by this. A statistic that I would like to mention. For instance, when it comes to in the first 13 weeks after the Hayabusa upgrade, basically, we saw around 16,200 new node tiers approximately when it comes to VeChain. That's pretty impressive. Again, around 16,000 new node tiers, right? Pretty impressive in my opinion, which again is actually around 3,000 more since week one, around a 23.9% increase. So really in the grand scheme of things, we're slowly but surely seeing kind of the effects of the Hayabusa upgrade and kind of what that has kind of done when it comes to VeChain. I think maybe arguably as a result, right? So personally for me, I think VeChain seems to be kind of, doing things fundamentally in which a lot of people don't really think of because they keep saying that because the charts are low, that means it's bad. But I don't really agree with that. I feel like VeChain is actually doing things personally in my opinion. And keep in mind, VeChain, it's a project that's focused on supply chain management, right? Primarily speaking. It's not going to have the cool factor of a meme like a Doge or something like that. But does it need to? I don't think so. A lot of people like to tell me, oh, if VeChain doesn't become more popular than Dogecoin, that means it sucks and all this. But I just don't agree with that. Because for instance, if let's say we didn't see an altcoin season for whatever reason, if let's say VET, again, which is VeChain's primary native token, if that could just go back, right, to a market cap in which we saw around December 2024, I really have nothing to complain about at that point. The market cap at that point was around 5 billion. As of right now, the market cap is almost 700 million. So we're still around 7 times lower than that, basically. I mean, is that like such a bad thing? I mean, let's just imagine this. Like Bitcoin had around a hypothetical 700% movement in an upwards direction. Could you imagine the sort of like reaction that would have? Like a lot of people would be like, "Oh wow, I can't believe it did that." They would think it's like one of the most fantastic things of all time, arguably. Some of my friends would think about it that way. But then suddenly, if VeChain does the same thing, like let's say it goes back to around a 5 billion market cap, we're around 7 times lower than that. If let's say it does that, it's suddenly considered bad for whatever reason. No, I don't agree with that. Personally, for me, 700% in terms of movement, it almost doesn't matter what project it is. As long as it's like that type of movement, I would consider it to be very impressive, in my opinion, right? At the end of the day, 700% is still 700% in my opinion, regardless of the project. So why would that be a good thing for some of the bigger caps out there when it comes to projects, but suddenly it's a bad thing when it comes to VeChain? No, I don't agree with that actually. Now keep in mind, of course, when it comes to VeChain, people like to say, oh, if it goes just back to around a 5 billion market cap, that's so boring because we saw that, slightly over a year ago. Well, just because we saw that, I don't think it means it's boring because I think if anything, it showcases how much VET has had a pullback. But here's the thing, because I'm looking to dollar cost average at these low points anyways, if it could just return back to those previous levels, I have zero complaints. This is my point of view. Now, of course, if let's say hypothetically VET saw an altcoin season, maybe it could do something a little bit different. Like for instance, if we take a look at if VET went to 10 cents, the market cap at that point, considering the current circulating supply of VET, would be around 8.5 billion. So, I mean, if we think about that again, right, we're pretty low actually compared to that. We're still over 10 times lower than that. So the way to take a look at it is, first of all, is around an 8.5 billion market cap that ridiculous for a project that's arguably very famous within the space of supply chain management? I don't really think so. Around an 8.5 billion market cap, keep in mind, like if we take a look at Dogecoin, it exceeded that market cap by around 10 times back in 2021 at one point. So is that really so outlandish? I don't think about it that way. Furthermore, we've literally seen actually VET reach way higher than that. Back in May of 2021, the market cap was almost 14 billion. So again, it's like around an 8.5 billion market cap so ridiculous. I don't think about it that way, but that's the way I view it, right? But anyways, either VET goes back to around a 5 billion market cap, or let's say it goes beyond to almost 14 billion, like what we saw back in 2021. Either way, I have no complaints. That's the way to take a look at it. Just because VET is still, even as of right now, relatively speaking, pretty low, in my opinion, despite this recovery. So this recovery, I think, if anything, just might be the appetizer, right? Because keep in mind, the greed and fear index, when it comes to this space overall, is still at neutral. Like, we're not talking about it changing to such a positive thing. Now, not too long ago, it was at fear and it became neutral, but I'm saying neutral generally means that people are kind of neither bearish or bullish, right? So the way you take a look at it is a lot of people, as of right now, they're still kind of 50-50. So the sentiment hasn't really changed that much yet. But still, even despite that, I'm still sticking with my routine. I'm dollar cost averaging once a month. I just don't want to give up. This is my mindset. I just kind of feel like when it comes to VeChain, people like to say, oh, it's so bad and all this, but I just don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, it may not be the most popular, but I don't think it's bad. I mean, it did, after all, have a partnership with the UFC, right? We also take a look at what they did with Power Slap. So it's not like VeChain is so bad, in my opinion. I don't think about it that way. And I know I've mentioned this in my previous video, but in case people are just wondering, I just want to mention this, right? In case anyone knows Dana White, which by the way is the CEO of the UFC, remember not that long ago when he mentioned on a podcast or an interview or whatever that was, he said how when it comes to his holdings within this space, the only thing he was holding was VeChain, right? However, people like to say, oh, well, it's because, VeChain had a partnership with the UFC and all this. Well, maybe, but it doesn't mean that he can't still maybe hypothetically acquire other projects, right? I mean, who knows? Why not? That's the way to take a look at it. So I think that, if anything, might show some conviction when it comes to VeChain, right? Or not, why would he hold it, right? I mean, despite the partnership of VeChain and the UFC, I mean, he'd probably have to believe in it to a certain extent, right? If he wants to hold VeChain, but I'm just saying, this is just what I'm hypothetically assuming. Now, this is just a way to take a look at it, though. VeChain, keep in mind, people like to say that the VeChain Thor blockchain, some people like to tell me it sucks, but I don't agree with that. If something sucks, would it be able to have zero network outages ever since 2018? No, I don't think so. Which supposedly, again, the VeChain Thor blockchain has had a total of zero network outages ever since 2018. So I think that's very impressive. And personally, the way you take a look at it is that this space, by me holding, by me dollar cost averaging once a month, it's kind of like trying to create a fancy meal. It's like trying to create, chicken pot pie, or trying to create, a stew, or trying to, have, I guess, a brisket. It's going to take quite a while, in my opinion. It's not like cooking instant noodles. What I mean by this is when I dollar cost average once a month, basically, and just wait and hold, I kind of feel like I have to go into it expecting kind of a long journey to begin with. I had to kind of, prepare myself to be patient and wait and all this. It's not like this space is instant noodles, in my opinion, personally for me. So if I'm trying to cook a stew, my intent to begin with has to already be more of a patience type of thing, right? So this is why when it comes to this space, when people like to say, oh, isn't it boring that I have to wait? They ask me why I'm just dollar cost averaging once a month and why I don't mind waiting. Well, it's because literally that's what I kind of felt like I had to do to begin with. I didn't know how long I was going to have to wait, but I knew I was going to have to wait for quite a while. It's like cooking a stew. That's the way you take a look at it. It might take quite a while. It's not instant noodles. So I don't expect things to happen instantaneously anyways. What I'm doing as of right now is just waiting and just holding, because by me holding, if let's say hypothetically the market does maybe pick up again, then it's kind of like going along with the ride. So that's why I just don't want to leave. I'm still holding. But this is just personally my mindset as of right now. And again, I'm still patiently waiting, basically, when it comes to VeChain. However, I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to VeChain moving forward, if there are any. So hopefully, y'all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.